Hey folks, lovely to see you all again. This is the 12th episode of the Kindness Files, and I'm your host, Gina. The aim of this podcast is to spread a bit of joy with fond memories and connecting amazing human beings together through kindness. We've been speaking to some amazing humans that have shaped my life, and we'll be dropping a new episode weekly. And here is our 12th guest. Here is Charlie Hart. Thank you so much for joining me today, Charlie.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I'm just going to give a really quick intro of how we met. So we met, it's pretty much a year, probably just under a year since we met on a speaking engagement and a virtual speaking engagement. And hopefully in a week or so, we'll be able to meet in human. I'm really excited. In about a week's time. Yeah, I know, it's come around so quickly. So yeah, we did a speaking event together about a year ago and we've kept in touch, and it's an absolute honour to share a space with you and to understand and get your opinion and your thoughts on kindness. So let's get into it. Question number one is, what does kindness mean to you?
Oh, I did have time to prepare, but I thought, no, I can speak off the top of my head. But it's about humanity and compassion as far as I'm concerned. So it isn't always about being nice and not making ripples. Sometimes kindness is standing up for people, and you sometimes have to put yourself out there and take risks to do that. So I think of myself as being an active bystander who intervenes and helps people who are being marginalized and discriminated against, bullied and mocked. And that's something I've tried to do all my life. I don't know how successful I am at it, but sometimes that requires being a bit feisty and not always so nice, but it is being kind.
Absolutely. And I think you've made a really interesting point about the difference between nice and kind. I think they are two completely separate things. And the active bystanderness of saying, this is not okay, and I'm going to support you through this situation, or stand up for somebody who may not necessarily have the comfortability to do that. And the power of that kindness, Charlie, ripples through the entire world.
Absolutely.
Question number two is, can you tell me about a time where you remember an act of kindness and why it stuck with you?
Absolutely. When I was pregnant with my eldest, I was only 27, and I was really in a situation with a lot of financial hardship. So my job was quite low paid, but I'd also only been there for 3 months when I found out I was pregnant. So I knew I wasn't going to get full maternity pay. And then my husband at the time, my first husband, lost his job unexpectedly. So we were really struggling to make ends meet. We had to take a mortgage payment break, and we were worried about the roof over our heads. And somebody at work heard me crying in the toilets, and a couple of people asked me at work if I was okay, and I couldn't string a sentence together, but I blurted out some stuff about I can't even buy things for my baby. And then I unexpectedly received £100 Boots gift voucher anonymously. So no virtue signalling, nobody wanting kudos for being nice and kind. It was completely anonymous. And it meant that I was able to pull myself out of worrying about my own financial situation and just go and buy some indulgent things for the baby.
Oh, wow.
I'd like to know who that person was and thank them, but I also respect that they chose to do it anonymously.
Yeah, and the powerful effect of not necessarily random acts of kindness, but those acts of kindness that stick with us for our entire lives are those things that kind of happen in the moment of this, I saw this thing happening, I'm going to do something about it, and they stick in our souls forever.
It was 20 years ago. And it's the first example that came to mind. Not that every act of kindness needs to cost anything. I think this person did have some spare cash. Not everybody does. But sometimes it can be something as simple as telling someone that they're appreciated. And you do that all the time. It's one of the things I warned to you about. You know, I can get overwhelmed with social media with messages where people expect a response, and every now and then I get a message from you just saying, I was thinking about you and I appreciate you, or something like that. It's not demanding anything from me at all.
Oh, thank you. It makes me a little bit tearful. Oh. Next question is, what are you most thankful for?
Most thankful. This is one of those autistic things, I think, where if there's lots of things, we struggle to choose one, like asking me my favourite song, and I'll try and think of a song that's got all of the elements of everything that means a lot to me. So I'm extremely thankful for so many things, but my support network and the people who love me and appreciate me, I'm truly thankful for that. And it seems to have grown and grown since I've got involved in neurodiversity advocacy. And to me, that's so validating, because I did lose a few friends when I went through my autism discovery and diagnosis. I was a little bit insular, and I was looking at myself and what makes me tick and reflecting on my past a lot. And I was talking about it. And some of my friends thought that I'd got quite selfish, but I was trying to make sense of things. So the fact that I've now got this growing network of friends, I don't even distinguish between business associates and people I network with and acquaintances and friends. They're all friends to me. And that is just wonderful. And then I've got the immediate circle of people that I really trust, that I can lean on if I need them and bounce ideas past them without fear of them judging me harshly. So people like Lucy Hobbs. It's tremendous to know that I've got those people there for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the light that you're shining out into the world as well is the kind of, it feels like there's a real reflection on, you're shining this light out of, I'm trying to make sense of this stuff that's inside me. This is where I'm coming to, and it's bringing those people into your space. And I think that's really special.
It is.
And following on from that, what brings you the most joy in life?
The small things. So I'm really connected with nature, and a lot of things give me like a natural high, euphoria. So I can't distinguish really between natural highs and glimmers. I assume you know the term glimmer. Yeah, it's like the opposite of a trigger. So a trigger could cause you psychological distress. Yep. A glimmer is something that lifts your spirits. It's kind of the opposite. I've always, since finding out I was autistic, I've always thought of them as being visual stims, but they're quite a spiritual connection with nature. So to me, it can be something really easy and simple, like feeding the ducks and seeing young signets on the canal. Something about spring and new life around me, lambs frolicking in the field. It can be something like walking along the canal and seeing bridges reflected in the water. So what's an arc then becomes a full circle. And I look at that and it's very visually pleasing to me. It could be something more physical, like running fast down a steep hill, and I get a bit of an adrenaline buzz and a bit of an endorphin rush. So it's all natural highs.
Yeah, I love that. The house that I'm staying in at the moment has five baby tortoises and a mum and a dad, and they'll hide in different parts of the garden. So every morning I've taken to like looking for them for a little bit, and they pop their little heads out and they're like, so
I love animals so much. We have a cat, just one cat. It's a bit minimalist for an autistic family. But the fact that this sort of wild creature that's beautiful and covered in this really soft fur kind of chooses to live with us and grace us with her presence, it's really special to me, even if she isn't exactly the friendliest cat in the world.
Yeah, I understand that with cats. Okay, next question. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do?
If I knew I couldn't fail... Yeah, this is such an abstract question. This is the one I struggled to pin down the most. But if I was able to develop some way of making everybody in the world safe and content, I would definitely do that. I think happiness is a stretch, because it's kind of a trap to think we need to be happy all the time. But if we can be content for, say, 80% of the time, that's a really good goal. But if people could be safe and content, all over the world, I would like to be able to achieve that. Talk about a stretch goal.
What a beautiful thing to be part of. Okay, I've got 3 questions left. The third penultimate question, I don't know what the right turn of phrase is when was the last time you did something for the first time?
When was the last time what? Sorry.
That you did something for the first time?
Last week I spoke in person at a big conference. So that was a first. I've spoken at several events, including in-person events, and I've spoken at online events. But this was a conference where I was on a stage with hundreds of seats facing me. And it should have been daunting, but it wasn't. It was just exciting, and I loved it. So I'm just really bouncing now. I had such a sort of buzz after that. I really want to do it again.
Nice. I love that. And I think it's also, this is a really interesting combination of a year and like a life's work kind of thing. To be able to sit here in this space with you and feel that energy of, I spoke in front of a conference of however many people. That's amazing. I love that.
I only just become self-employed when I met you, I think. So
yeah.
1st of July would be my anniversary. And it was that event, that panel that I was on with you about psychological safety. That was my first event as a self-employed person. And I immediately thought, oh, I like what she's saying and what she stands for. And I want to find out more about Kind too. So here we are, still friends a year later. And yeah.
Absolutely. And also, I think it's something we touched on at the beginning, but I'm really excited to meet you in person in a few weeks' time as well. It's going to be so nice. Okay, penultimate question. How have you treated yourself with kindness lately?
I've really tried to not overcommit myself. So there's been a few times where I've known that I'm going to do something big that will impact me in some way, either leave me tired or just needing time to decompress and think and feel. So I've tried to do less so that I've got that time. So one example, last week after the conference, I went out with my friend Lucy in the evening. We had a nice chat and a meal. I stayed in a hotel, then went to the CIPD conference the next day. But I felt kind of spaced out and like it was too much, and I didn't stay very long at all. So instead of staying long at this noisy, busy conference, trying to network when I felt like that, I went for a really long walk on my own around London. I sat for an hour outside Itsu, enjoying a Japanese meal and watching the people go past. So that's the things that I needed to do to recalibrate and decompress.
Nice. And also giving yourself the space and the time that you need to process feelings and emotions and things.
It's one of the reasons that I decided to go self-employed, because you don't always have the luxury of that time and headspace in a permanent job when you're contracted to work certain days of the week. And I really, really need it because of my journey, losing my son and my complex PTSD. I've absolutely got to take time to think and feel and process when I need to.
Absolutely. And the space that you're able to give yourself to do that is, I think, very powerful, like a very powerful connection to yourself.
Yes.
And the final question, and I know you had a little bit of time to prepare, is if you could write a kind note to a stranger, what would you write? I feel like this is an art attack moment. Oh,
yeah. So I've done this note. Can't remember what it says. I might not feel it. It might not feel like it, but you are valued and loved. It might not feel like it, but you are valued and loved. Oh, there you go. You see that?
Okay. Yeah, can see that. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me
my
today,
chipped
Charlie.
nails. Yeah, I paint them bright pride colours for Pride Month, and they're starting to get chipped. So I keep adding more and more to them. Painting my nails pretty sparkly metallic colours is another little glimmer for me.
Nice. I love the act of painting my nails. I don't like it when they're chipped at all. There's a real fine balance for me of painting my nails.
Me too.
Which
I hate filing them though. That's really tedious, but painting them,
yeah. I love that. But thank you so much for joining me today, Charlie, and thank you everybody for listening. I hope you have a kind day, and I will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.